If you are watching this video, it is no coincidence that you are going through difficult times. Maybe you've lost a dream, maybe a relationship, maybe even yourself. Perhaps without knowing why, you feel a heaviness inside, but let me tell you something. There is a reason you came across this video. Because sometimes life brings us together with the message we need at our darkest moments, and here it is. This message has been waiting to reach you, just as it should. If you spend 9 minutes on this video, I promise you that you will start looking at your troubles with different eyes. Are you ready? A long time ago, on top of a high mountain, there lived a wise cook. He would place a soup for each person's problem. Whoever came to him with a problem would surely return to their work healed. The real issue here is, when you look at the mountain where the wise cook lived from afar, it seems so magnificent and difficult that it fills your heart with fear. Its steep slopes, cliffs, and strong winds make it almost impossible to climb. The people of the town always tell those approaching the mountain the same thing. Those who climb it are either lost or never return. The path is so steep, the rocks so sharp, and they could fall off at any moment. Only those who have completely lost hope go. Those who have nothing left to lose. The ones who have really lost everything and no longer have the strength to live. They are the ones who dare to climb the mountain. They are the ones who, despite being desperate enough to face death, still carry a tiny spark of hope within them. They overcome their fears and begin their journey. One day, a young man, shoulders slumped, eyes tired, quietly walked towards the mountain. He had nothing left to lose. When he looked at the mountain, he was filled with fear, but he took a step anyway. At first, the path seemed much harder than he thought, but as he continued, he realized it wasn't as frightening as he had imagined. There were hidden paths along the cliffs. There were hidden ledges and stones to hold on to between the steep rocks. In the beginning, only frightening shadows appeared, but now, he was astonished by his steps, and when he finally reached the wise cook's door, he turned around and looked down. The huge, terrifying mountain was not as it had seemed from a distance. The wise cook silently opened the door to his modest cabin and invited the young guest inside. Without saying anything, he placed the large copper pot over the stove, added wood underneath, and lit the fire. The young man entered slowly, his head lowered. The burden he had carried for years was no longer on his shoulders. It felt like a weight on his soul. As the cook filled the pot with water, the young man couldn't hold himself back and began speaking. "I can't take it anymore," he said with a trembling voice. "No matter what I do, nothing changes. Life always throws challenges at me. I try, but nothing works. It's as if nothing I do is enough. Everything is coming at me. First, I lost my dreams," he sighed. "Then, the people I trusted one by one distanced themselves from me. I've lost my way. I don't know what to do. Maybe I should just give up." The wise cook looked into the young man's eyes. Then, without saying anything, he reached out and took 3 things from the table: a carrot, an egg, and a handful of coffee beans. Silently, he placed all 3 into the boiling water. The young man was confused, but the wise cook said nothing. He just waited. A light steam rose from the pot. The young man looked at the water and listened to the crackling of the stove. The wise cook spoke. "Sometimes, life throws us into boiling water," he said calmly. "Difficulties, pain, and loss boil us and transform us. But not everyone changes in the same way in that boiling water." After a few minutes, the cook extended his ladle and first took out the carrot. When the young man took it, he noticed that the carrot had softened. The carrot, which seemed tough and strong, had become fragile after being immersed in the boiling water. This carrot, the wise cook said, was strong and tough before it went into the water, but the boiling water, the harsh test, weakened it. It became fragile, although it looked strong on the outside. He continued, on the outside it looks the same, but the pain it went through made it hardened from the inside. Once it had a soft, loving heart, but now it has hardened and the pain has made it insensitive. The young man listened closely to the wise cook, but he was most curious about the coffee beans. The wise cook smiled and dipped his ladle into the pot again, pouring the brown liquid into a bowl and handing it to the young man. But the coffee beans were different, he said slowly. Not only did they not change in the face of difficulties, but they also changed their surroundings. They didn't soften or break down. They didn't harden or close up. Instead, they turned the boiling water to their advantage. They added flavor, aroma, and a new identity to their environment. The young man turned to the wise cook and asked him, "How will the difficulties change me? Will I become like the carrot, soft and broken? Will my inside harden like the egg? Will I lose everything? Or will I be like the coffees?" Sometimes life throws us into boiling water. Sometimes we feel helpless, sometimes angry, and sometimes broken. What happens to us is always in our hands. If we choose to break, we will never learn to stand firm on our own. We let the external circumstances control us. We allow what happens to define us. Our pain becomes our identity. If we choose to retreat and harden, we build walls against life. But we must remember one thing. Walls don't just block the outside, they also imprison what's inside. They block the paths to our loved ones and our dreams. Over time, we become someone afraid to feel, afraid to trust, someone who forgets the colors of life. But if we choose to be like the coffee beans, everything changes. We don't let the boiling water take away our inner strength. On the contrary, we shape that water to our advantage. We take wisdom from our pains and turn our losses into new beginnings. We're not afraid of falling because every fall has the power to rise again. Ask yourself this question: what am I becoming in this boiling water? We've come to the end of another journey. How did you feel while listening to this video? What emotions did it awaken in you? Maybe you remembered something, maybe you thought of your past, or perhaps you thought about the struggles you're facing right now. Whatever it is, being here is no coincidence. This video is not telling you to underestimate the difficulties of life. It's not telling you to ignore your pain or losses. Because I know that memories can never be erased, and some disappointments leave scars. But the reason we are here now is not to ignore the difficulties, but to give them new meaning, to recognize the hidden opportunities within them. But don't misunderstand the word opportunity. Turning difficulties into opportunities doesn't mean everything will get better immediately. Sometimes there's nothing you can do. The loss you've experienced, the loss you've conquered, is right in front of you. Finding yourself again. Transforming the pain. Not letting the boiling water destroy you. When you think of a storm, what do you see? Strong winds, dark skies, furious waves. Yes, a storm can take you on a whole new course. Instead of tiring yourself out trying to hold onto the shore, learn to use the wind to your advantage. Because sometimes the greatest changes come with the strongest winds. The tallest trees grow in the valleys where the wind blows the hardest. And remember, you are not the sum of your experiences. You are the sum of the meanings you give them. So, ask yourself, will this storm destroy me? Or will it show me a new direction? Because you choose what you become in the boiling water. Thank you for watching.